Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to our new public safety building, our police headquarters in San Francisco. Over the past month, I've had the privilege with each of the supervisors of going through budget meetings in many of their districts. I think we have one more to go to complete all of them, but it's been very consistent that public safety has been on the minds of many of our citizenry here in San Francisco. Today, I'm joined by our police chief and his command staff, by the police commission, the President Susie Loftus, as well as other members of the commission are here, by our Office of Citizens Complaint, Joyce Hicks is here as well, and also by Board President London Breed and several members of our Board of Supervisors that have engaged with our discussion about public safety, and of course our Human Resources Director as well. Budget season is with us, and as we've gone around the different districts of the city, not having yet completed all of them, but clearly there's been a resounding message that safety will be always a great foundation for any city that wants to be successful. And in that vein, I wanted to also make sure that while we had these meetings concerning public safety, that issues of trust has been part of that conversation, that issues of integration and clearly the issues that the chief has announced with respect to culture has been part of that discussion, as well as incidences across the country where lives have been lost, and that conversation has been a part of the public safety discussion in San Francisco. We enjoy relatively, compared to many other cities in the country, a very high level of safety here, and that's due to the commitment of the chief and his officers on a day-to-day basis. And we can always do better. In fact, we feel we can do a lot better with more officers, promoting 21st century policing policies and practices, and using technology to our advantage, and making sure that we continue on a day-to-day basis earning the trust of our residents. Shortly before, after I took office, almost 3.5 years ago, I launched a program called Predict, Interrupt, Predict, and Organize. And it was a Safer San Francisco initiative. It was an effort to really stem the tide of violence in our city, to make sure that we talked with our youth and had paths of alternatives for them, but also use data to our advantage to predict where we might know incidences will occur, interrupt that behavior, and then work with the community to organize better alternatives to violence. And to some degree, we have succeeded. We've developed comprehensive services for victims of street and family violence. We have made absolutely sure that jobs and job training go forward in a very aggressive way, and we continue a minimum of 7,000 jobs aimed at our youth every year, and we are succeeding in that. We also, at the suggestion of our youth, reinstituted a cadet academy program that our officers are excited about, and it recruits law enforcement right from the community that directly represents the diversity of our city. Today, I'm here with our chief, our commission, our board members, and the president, and our OCC to announce more resources for public safety, which include increasing funding for civilian oversight through our OCC, additional training of officers, and an additional 100 more police officers on top of the 150 that we already announced, for a total of 250 additional police officers that will be graduating from 5 police officer academy classes during the next fiscal year of 2015 to 2016. These classes will in fact accelerate our goal to getting to our city's charter mandated full duty officers within the next year. And that charter mandated number is 1,971. We have also we are about to add, with the cooperation of the board, $6.6 million in our next 2-year budget to fund approximately 1,800 body cameras for each of our officers that are on our streets and engaging in the public. We intend to have this first year go through a planning process that will have as its goal an implementing of a 21st century policing and acquire those body cameras for every police officer that engages the public. This is a role for technology to be playing in allowing us to build more public trust and also transparency and accountability with our residents. I believe, and so does the Commission, that these body cameras will keep our residents safe, honor the work of the police officers who put their lives on the line every day. I also know that body cameras in and of themselves are not the solution. They will help, but they are not the only solution. We need to strengthen that community trust in a number of ways. We'll also need to ensure that people's privacy is respected and that not only police officers, but the community themselves will feel comfortable with how technology is being used and rolled out. That's also why I am announcing today a working group made up of our Police Officers Union, our Office of Citizens Complaints, and members of the ACLU who have been invited to join this working group to report back to the Police Commission on best practices, policies, and protocols for the use of the body cameras and other technologies that'll help us increase our transparency and our accountability. I know that these efforts, all of them put together, will ensure our residents a more safe community environment and will also allow our officers to embrace 21st century tools that we need to use. The marshaling of additional resources for our Office of Citizens Complaint will also allow them to do more civilian oversight of our police department and also identify the kinds of training that needs to happen with our officers who are on the street. Together, all of these efforts, coupled with working with our residents on community policing, on more beat patrols, on identifying all the areas that have come to very great specificity in every one of our district meetings, will be reflected in the way we roll this out and the way we continue to implement the ideas that come through these district budgeting meetings. With that, I'd like to welcome our chief to go into more detail on this and explain more of how we're going to roll this out and implement it. Chief Suhr.
I want to thank the mayor. Obviously, you know, as the saying goes, your budget reflects your priorities. Obviously, public safety and the public's trust in its police department is at or near the top of the mayor's priorities because this is not going to come cheaply. To that end, to have these extra 2 academy classes that gets us to full staffing by mid-2017 to an already accelerated hiring plan that was unanimously approved by the Board of Supervisors, which we deeply appreciate, will be no small charge, but we will get it done. Cops do count. There is a neighborhood in San Francisco that doesn't want their beat officers back and to see more officers on bicycles because it's much better if we can prevent the crime and work with our neighborhoods to be safer than to try and arrest our way out of something. With regard to the body cameras, obviously when the President Obama's Task Force on 21st Century Policing presented its report in late 2014, they spoke to the fact that in their Pillar 3 on technology and social media, what body cameras do for police officers and the community. The reduction of a study that reported that use of force complaints go down better than 87%, and that complaints go down almost 60% when body-worn cameras are in play. That was that president's report, quite probably The next president of the United States, Senator Clinton, just yesterday recommended that all, sorry, that was objective, that all police officers in the United States should wear cameras because it's a win-win situation that protects good people from both sides of the lens. The officers know they're wearing them, so their behavior is going to be better. And by telling the citizens that they're going to be on camera, then the citizen's going to behave better too. All the way around, it's going to make for a better police-citizen interaction. It's all good stuff. To that end, now the devil's going to be in the details. We're going to have to arrive at a policy that involves the stakeholders. I'll quote from an ACLU report from a senior policy analyst. Cameras have the potential to be a win-win, helping protect the public against police misconduct and at the same time protecting police against false accusations and abuse. At the same time, we're a very privacy-conscious city, so we will work together under the leadership of President Loftus and the Police Commission to bring all the stakeholders to the table and get to the best policy we can as soon as we can so that we get the cameras on the officers to work on the trust that's been damaged over the recent months in certain communities here in San Francisco. And in addition to add staff to the OCC, obviously we're answerable to the city of San Francisco. We want our officers to be, as they say, just so. And we work very cooperatively with the OCC and have very strict protocols when complaints are made that they're going to go to the OCC. I think that with the additional officers coming forward and the additional information that's going to come from these cameras, I think it's only appropriate that the OCC staffed up for what could be more work. So we want those investigations to be appropriate as well. So we have other speakers here that want to be heard. Certainly, we couldn't get this done without the support of the Board of Supervisors. So next up is going to be the President of the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor London Breed.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm actually really excited about this. All over the country, as many of you know, we've had a lot of challenges with law enforcement and the public. And sadly, you know, because of those incidents, a few unfortunate incidents, there has been really a challenge with trust in law enforcement of the community. And so my concern is for those good men and women who are out there trying to do a good job and those citizens who are out there trying to just enjoy the peace and freedom that they have of being out in their communities. And these cameras, I think, as the chief has said, will help create that level of balance. You know, we need officers out on the streets and we need them to be safe, but we also want citizens to feel safe. And this will give those officers the support that they need to make sure that when these kinds of incidents happen, when there are challenges to a situation, we have this kind of technology that can help us address these cases better. I'm really hopeful that as a result of these cameras, that some of the incidents that come up, as the chief mentioned in some of the reports that were done, that the amount of complaints will go down. And this is just one tool of many that we plan to use here in the city and county of San Francisco. Public trust is really important, and I think having these cameras go really a step in the right direction of restoring public trust and making sure that the citizens know that not only are we doing everything we can to increase the number of police officers in our department, but also add members of the community to the department, but making sure that accountability is at the forefront of what we do. And so I'm looking forward to the support of, from hopefully the board will support this in the upcoming budget so that we can get this program moving. And in addition to that, I know that Supervisor Cohen has really led the charge on making sure that we fund the Office of Citizen Complaints because they are the civilian unit of our city that makes sure that they address and deal with oversight. But I want to be clear to the men and women who are serving our city. We appreciate a lot of the great officers who are out there working hard every single day and putting their lives on the lines to serve and protect the citizens of the city and county of San Francisco. Yes, we have challenges in this country. Yes, we have challenges in this city, but through this opportunity of providing the kinds of resources necessary to repair some of the damage that has been done with the public trust, I think we will be a better city as a result of this. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to us moving forward on this as quickly as possible.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Malia Cohen. I, too, am a member of the Board of Supervisors, and I'm very excited today because what we are doing today, not only acknowledging that we're moving into the 21st century and utilizing technology to the best that we can, but it demonstrates that we are listening to our constituents and responding. We would be fools to sit here with our heads in the sand and not pay attention to the dialogue that's happening across this entire country. And what we are doing today is very, very symbolic and a step in the right direction. This is not the only tool that we will be focusing on. Cameras are a small step in the right direction. It's also critical that we provide our officers, our men and women that are sworn to protect and serve, with the training that they need, the bias and unbiased consciousness and awareness that exists in all of us that live in America. The other thing that's really poignant to point out is that we are finally having a much-needed dialogue around race and how it relates to the justice system. And here in San Francisco, we are talking about just today about cameras, but there are other partners that are at the table that are also in discussion about how we can strengthen our justice system so that it is fair and just for everyone. That includes the district attorney's office, that includes the public defender, and that also includes our law enforcement, such as the sheriff's department. It's also critical that we arm the folks with the tools that are necessary. So that includes ensuring that Joyce Hicks, who's the director of the Office of Citizen Complaints, has the resources that she needs in order so that she can go after and actively investigate and prosecute those that are doing wrong. I want to applaud and, again, show my support to the men and women that do serve San Francisco. But I also want to give voice to the need that we need to also recruit, retain, and also promote diversity within our ranks. That's also as equally as critical. We need to ensure that we are creating a policy that is fair and just when it comes to the reviewing of the material, the video. We need to ensure that the integrity is maintained once the data is captured and that it is stored. So there is a lot of work that we have ahead of us as we continue to move forward. Mr. Mayor, I applaud you for making this a budget priority and ensuring that we are listening to our residents and responding in a very thoughtful manner. Thank you.
So obviously, it's been spoken to by the prior speakers and myself. There's going to have to be policy, and it's going to have to be something that the city has a lot of input in. The policy body for the San Francisco Police Department is the Police Commission. Its president is Susie Loftus. And again, to quote from the president's report on 21st century policing, if I can find it. Agencies need to consider ways to involve the public in discussions related to the protection of their privacy and civil liberties prior to implementing new technology. As well, work with the public and other partners in the justice system to develop appropriate policies and procedures for use. And I think under the leadership of President Loftus, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Thank you, Chief. On behalf of the Police Commission, I would like to applaud the mayor for his leadership, thank the members of the Board of Supervisors who are here. There's a few important things that are happening today from the perspective of the Police Commission. One is that there are going to be resources for body cameras, which the evidence has shown does two things. One, it's shown to reduce use of violence, use of force by officers, and encourage de-escalation. It also reduces the number of complaints against officers. So that evidence is very promising, and that's an important part of establishing trust between law enforcement and the community. The Police Commission has been at community meetings from the Mission to the Tenderloin to the Bayview, and one thing is clear, the national conversation about the relationship of trust between law enforcement and the communities they're sworn to serve is also happening here in San Francisco. And I am excited, and I know my fellow commissioners are excited, that we will, one, be looking at creating a policy that makes sense for San Francisco around body cameras. Two, that there's increased resources for the civilian oversight and accountability for the Office of Citizen Complaints to investigate independently allegations of police misconduct. And finally, that there will be some transparency, that officers and citizens will be able to see themselves, and will increase that transparency here in San Francisco. So there is much work that lies ahead, and I know on behalf of the commission, we're ready to jump into that. Thank you.
So in closing, again, I want to thank the mayor for his leadership and literally putting the money where the priority is. I want to remind everybody, the work that the police department's been doing, at least over my time as chief, we've been down about 300 officers, and they've been holding the line. So all these police officers coming back it's just huge for us to be able to do that much more. The body cameras will help us rebuild the trust that we've lost in certain communities, but it was just yesterday, despite being down as many officers as we are, the suspect that we believe responsible for the shooting on the T-line just the day before, taken into custody while still armed in the Park District, relatively without incident, and a little baby that's in the backseat of a car that's stolen in the Tenderloin is recovered within 10 minutes, again, without incident. San Francisco Police Department, almost without exception, do their police work just so. That'll keep happening, and soon enough we'll have body cameras to demonstrate that as requested. So with that, I'm going to adjourn this press conference, and everybody back here will be available for questions offline, but not from the podium. Thank you.